It's been a wonderful journey doing the work of CX. I absolutely love this work, which in my mind, I love the Forrester definition. It's taking the perceptions that people have towards the companies that we like to do business with and that we serve inside of, and is trying to enhance those perceptions and create the best experiences that we possibly can. So I started in customer service, did that for many, many years. Still love that work. But just felt a little bit stuck in terms of, I can't actually solve these problems that keep rolling down into the service center. How do I get to where I can be designing something better? And I didn't have the word for it at that time, but it was CX. And since then, I've jumped in with both feet, and I just love reading and learning and studying and being a part of what is still very much an emerging field as we learn how to do this really well and create experiences that matter for one another. The CX industry per se, every company, every industry of every type, every vertical is doing CX and is finding competitive advantages to this idea of serving customers really well and having that translate to real business results. I mean, it is these perceptions that are going to generate the share of wallet, the customer lifetime value, and give us the ability to acquire new customers. So CX industry, may or may, it is definitely a practice. It is a field that exists, and hopefully it's being practiced in every industry that is out there. In terms of how COVID has impacted this work and the mentality of people doing this work, I really believe it's awakened something inside of us. It's shifted our focus now to what Simon Sinek would describe as creating circles of safety. There was a lot of inertia that was going on in the world pre-COVID, where we're just kind of in a rut in a lot of societies, in a lot of communities, in a lot of businesses. We were in a rut. And this pandemic has caused us to stir and have to change the way that we operate and change the way that we think about our lives and our position within our companies, and think about those organizations that we want to do business with. And so CX professionals have had to shift greatly in terms of protection, thinking about how we can create a circle of safety around our people so that they can then focus on delivering a customer experience. Because as you well know, I mean, as soon as things become about self-preservation, as soon as we feel isolated, which goodness, all these quarantine events and all these different things, I mean, what happens is we feel isolated, and it restricts our ability to focus on anything else. So what the CX leaders had to do is to come in and comfort and provide a place of safety and get back to an operational standard where people feel like they are within a tribe. They don't have to watch their back at all times for something else crazy that's going to go on in the world, because they feel like their company is there for them and will help to protect them from the things that are going on out there. These organizations where everybody just felt like, oh no, I'm about to lose my job, and that's going to make it this much harder for me to have to now homeschool my kids and do all these insane things. That person can't focus on their job. So first, that circle of safety, and then let's extend that circle of safety as much as we can to our customers. How can we make sure that our customers feel like we are in their corner and that we are protecting them and that their safety is our top concern? For a lot of businesses and a lot of different industries, that needed to become a top priority within our CX design, shifting from what many of us would at that time were doing more like Lean Six Sigma, effort reduction, maximize value, which are still very important principles. But then it's like, wow, we now have to focus on a different perception that's being formed in the mind of our customers, one where they are now asking different questions. Is this company going to protect me? Do they care about my safety? And how does that relate to the overall CX design? The number one challenges that are out there for CX professionals today, beyond this idea of morphing to this new perception that our customers have towards organization, it's thinking about how can we get a more harmonious brand presence out there. I mean, we have these pockets where we're doing great things. We're doing digital transformation as an example. We're looking to enhance the digital journey of our employees and our customers. But many organizations are doing that inside of a bit of a vacuum right now, where maybe that's owned by a team of data scientists or IT or some group within the company, but it's not tied in yet to the larger CX initiative. So I mean, one of the main things that we struggle with as CX professionals is finding these pockets of momentum that are very relevant to customer experience and trying to align them and bring harmony to these efforts so that we can practice good change management together, so that we can do some project management across the organization and work cross-functionally. Because as soon as you have anything that becomes cross-functional in an organization, the failure rate becomes astronomical around that initiative. If we look at culture changes, digital transformation efforts, even CX changes, if we look at these large scale change management efforts, the vast majority of them fail to deliver the promised results. So, I mean, we as CX professionals have to be different. We have to think about change management best practices. We have to think about how can we get allies to do this work with us and not allow CX to become peripheral in the organization where it's just being done over here, where we're just trying to scramble and the best we can, make little impact points here and there and reduce friction for this small group of customers here. That's not going to have big impact on the business. But when we can get business leaders collaborating with us, talking a common language of CX change and bringing things like digital transformation into the CX effort, then you can really make a difference. I'm thrilled with what's going on in the automation capabilities. I mean, with true conversational AI, I think customers are happier to interface with those type of technologies now. I think the propensity for that to be a good experience is now higher, both in the minds of the customer and in the ability of the technology. So I think that there's a huge opportunity there to streamline and to create an effortless experience through automated channels. So I mean, that's very, very exciting. But what I'm also loving to see is our expansion in the areas of voice of customer. I mean, it used to be in the CX world, we would just pump out post-interaction surveys. We would do all these type of email-based surveys. I mean, the response rate on email-based surveys today is between 2 and 4%. So it just, we're not getting meaningful responses back on email-based surveys in most scenarios. But new technologies have allowed us to evolve in this area of voice of customer to where now we can reach into that customer interaction point, whether it's a recorded call, whether that's an email-based transaction, whether that's a live chat type of transaction, whether it's a retail experience where they've navigated through a store. We can now reach into that interaction with machine learning, with AI capabilities, with all these different technologies, and we can get a form of true customer sentiment. How did the customer feel during that interaction with our business? We can get so much more insight around those interaction points than we ever could before, and it's very exciting. I've been writing quite a bit on this topic of mission-driven CX. And it's something that many folks are writing about right now. I mean, I feel like the pioneer in this space was Denise Leon with her book Fusion, which is just a brilliant work. But many others have come around this concept of brand identity and how much impact and influence this brand identity has on things like the employee experience and the customer experience and our ability to gain customers and to establish customer loyalty. And so when I say mission-driven CX, what I'm talking about is that the core of the brand, what the brand stands for at the end of the day, is some unique and bold thing where the organization is taking a stance in terms of the impact that they want to have in the world. And that core identity resonates with the employees as ambassadors and as customers, again, as loyal ambassadors to this organization because of the unique stance that they are taking. So it used to be most organizations were like, oh, we have this great product. We're just going to put it out into the world and hope for the best. But now it's like, no, we are a unique group of people and we are creating an experience around a product or service that is special, that is different than anybody else in the world can do. And this overall experience is going to have a unique identity, a unique tone. And we are looking to attract our customers and looking to attract our employees that can best represent who we are as a business out into the world authentically and in a way that's going to be very clear and compelling. So in my mind, that's going to be the greatest work of CX, is helping brands to identify who they are very concretely, very uniquely out into the world, and then helping them to deliver on that promise in a way that's going to attract loyal customers. You have to be plugged into a tribe of CX professionals that you can do this with. It's impossible to do this work alone. And you can feel very much alone inside of your organization doing the work of CX. So I would highly recommend to get plugged into some communities of CX professionals that are out there. Leverage Officium as a resource, officiumlabs.io, CX Accelerator, support driven, women in CX. There's some great communities that are out there. Would highly recommend that you get plugged into those. It's going to inspire you. It's going to excite you and make you proud to be a part of this emerging work that we're all doing together collectively in the CX industry. And it's just going to help you to be inspired and to be able to take new concepts that you would have never been able to think of alone and bring them into your workplace and bring new life to your team in that way. So definitely allow yourself to expand beyond the walls of your office and get out there into the world and learn and be hungry and be inspired by the other CX professionals that are out there.